How is everyone, all right? Yeah, how many of you here are managers? Hands up. Yeah, you're the bane of all existence. You go through LinkedIn for like 2 seconds and you think, am I the one that's causing all the grief here? You wouldn't want to be a manager, would you? It makes you feel rubbish looking through it. Then we see the Gallup State of the Workplace report, the latest one that came out. Critical reading, I was reading it in the bath the other night. Apparently 70% of the variance with regards to team engagement is down to the manager. Me again. A lot of manager bashing. You don't have to go far, do you, to see some grief. So, we've already done this bit. I'm the Chief Impact Officer at JAAQ. It's the world's coolest job title because I created it. The world's coolest mental health platform, in my opinion. I work as an executive engagement advisor with Bupa, helping them to engage people earlier. And wrote a book which released at the beginning of the year, much like my friend who's coming out, and it hit the bestseller list, which was amazing. So, we're going to start with current state. We'll speak about the biggest challenges facing workplace wellbeing, and we'll circle in really close down on the managers and have a discussion around what could potentially need to change. And our welcome challenge at the back end, I will try my best to leave some time for you time-strapped and poor managers amongst yourselves. So, the State of the Workplace report, 23% of the global workplace engaged. I think that's not too good, but that is actually a record. The UK do much worse than the average. We're at 10%. So 1 in 10 of you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're engaged, you lot are not. But then, at least we're beating France. They're single digits. It might be the only time we beat them over the next few weeks with the Euros going on. I've got my fingers crossed on my England shirt in my bag. Come on, England. So, that's where we are right now with regards to engagement. The UK was ranked as the second most miserable country on earth. It's a pretty terrible statistic, isn't it? Do you know who lost? Anyone know? Uzbekistan. At least we beat them. So that's where we are. UK business leaders are anticipating that spending is going to go up by 18% year on year. We're at record high engagement at 23%. 1 in 4 of us experiencing symptoms of anxiety or depression. And that's 1 in 3 for young people, 18 to 24-year-olds. This is the team that you managers, you terrible managers you, are inheriting. An ever-demanding team. Right? So, and Bupa shared recently the latest findings. So mental health incidence rates were up 21% year on year, and the severity of cases went up 13%. So people are engaging later. They're kicking the can down the road because we've got endless things to do. And then when they come to it, the severity has increased. And we see the same for MSK and for cancer pathways as well. So what we're doing to fix it, 78% of CEOs and execs think that things have got better over the past year. And I would do too, if I was spending about 580 mil, which is the UK spend on workplace wellbeing. I would hope that things have got better. But their people think the direct opposite, essentially, with 69% thinks that people think that it's remained the same, if not worsened. We've got almost 500,000 health apps now on the App Store. You've got an app to run, you've got an app to breathe, you've got an app to sleep, you've got an app to eat. What else we got? Have we got anything else? Am I missing any? You've got quite a few. Right? You've got an app to absolutely everything. When we launch them, there's a big furore, there's a lot of excitement, people sign up. 6 months later, if we're lucky, utilization is at 8%. And they're the people that would go to the gym outside of work anyway. We see drop-off with the apps is highest for those with the least amount of time, the least amount of salary. Good nose blow. So, Oxford University, Gethin's going to go into this, so I won't go too deep, found that workplace wellbeing doesn't work. Very catchy headline, as you might have seen in the Daily Mail. Well, it can, but they measured point A, subjective wellbeing, and point B, and then pushed people through a bunch of initiatives and found that some of them worsened it, some of them improved. They found that volunteering was best. Volunteering is what we ought to get everyone to do. But what that says to me is that someone that can volunteer has the time to do so, potentially doesn't have to pick up their kids when the volunteering is happening, and they don't have to work a second job because they're worried about the finances. Perhaps that's what we need to be looking at instead of the initiative doesn't work. What it really says is that one size fits all often fits none, and we need to meet people where they are. So, without doing any measurement, I was meant to add this as a build. I was going to ask, what percentage of people do you think use organizational data to measure the effectiveness of their efforts? What do you reckon? 1 to 2%, exactly. Ruined a surprise, didn't I? 1 to 2%. So we're working off of surveys, subjective opinion, and feels, because well-being is soft and fluffy, isn't it? Well, not really. As you're in this room, I hope you disagree with that statement. There's been some good research from Oxford recently They found that a 1-point increase in subjective happiness at BT over 18 months resulted in a 13% increase in sales. They then created a fake index fund of the top 100 happy organizations from the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. So the happy orgs, the happy index fund, I'd love to invest in that group of companies. They found that over, I think it was like 26 months, they invested a tenner. At the back end, they're £13. The non-happy organizations, the rest of the indices, returned 11. So happy organizations perform better, happy people perform better, but there's a distinct lack of measurement, so most of us are working off of feels and emotions, which is why we're stuck doing webinars and awareness days, and we're doing more effort than ever and pouring more into the hopper, but it's not necessarily moving us forwards. It's just one more thing that you don't have time to do. So 2 biggest challenges facing workplace wellbeing in Bupa's latest research were that employees don't engage with initiatives. And it's hardly surprising. When you check your email 68 times a day, you receive 78 notifications a day. You check your phone 352 times a day, and there has been a 250% increase in meetings compared to pre-pandemic, but at least your workload is reduced. Yeah, exactly. So no wonder we're struggling to engage with these things. Gen Z now spend 106 days a year on their phones. And we're struggling to meet these people because we're meeting them with long solutions, when often people are quite time poor and we only have 5 minutes. Wellbeing is no small thing, but it's made up of small things. So we need to understand that when we're developing these interventions to reach the managers, to reach the people in the teams who have often only got 5 minutes themselves. If that. 5 minutes, you're thinking, I'd love 5 minutes. Yeah, I feel you. And the second one that we're going to go into today is that managers lack the skills and confidence to support their demanding team. Again, that doesn't surprise me because the people that are coming into the workplace are like me, an absolute nightmare to manage. I've been depressed, I had anxiety, I was bulimic for about 10 years. I've got dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to do an autism assessment soon because I remember numbers like they're going out of fashion, but I'm going to be checking that out for myself. But would you know how to support me? Difficult, right? I'm a challenge. But this is the team that the manager is inheriting, and we're trying to meet them to understand what's going on. When the manager doesn't have any less workload, if not more, they're trying to prioritize themselves, look after a family, and do everything else. So we've got an ever-demanding team with less time to support those people. And we're wondering why managers lack the skills and confidence. Well, I think I know why. There was a study recently, you see it? I know you've seen it. The CMI, 82% of managers are accidental. They tricked into a management position. Oopsie daisy. You are now a manager, congratulations, here's your team. Sorry we don't have time to train you, but good luck hitting those quarterly targets. On your pop. That's where we are. So to support people, to make an assumption, to know we know how to help these people who have got all ever-increasing demands, the healthcare system is under more pressure than ever, and we are more plugged in than ever. But we're meeting people with these long interventions that are not reaching the people we want to support and not seeing the impact, perhaps because there's severe lack of management and engagement and measurement. So they're the 2 biggest challenges. So if we think about managers and how time poor they are, Microsoft did a survey not long ago, the Future of Work report. It's decent as well, very good bath time reading. That's why I was doing my best reading. And they found that the average attention span is apparently 8.25 seconds. So I appreciate you all for staying with me. I see some people checking their emails. Don't worry, we're doing the same. But 8.25 seconds, that is less than that of a goldfish. Right? That's what we are. And you've got to meet people like that in between meetings. Gloria Mark, who leads attention research, she's a doctor at the University of California, says it's 48. Regardless, it's very short. And that's the window that we need to meet people in between meetings, in between increasing work demands. So we need to give managers the support in an instantaneous fashion. If they need an answer on something, they need to be able to get it almost immediately. And do you know where people are going to get that information currently? Do you know what the #1 resource for mental health information globally is? Yeah. Bingo. TikTok. 100 billion views on the hashtag mental health and affiliated hashtags. There was a study of that content recently that found that 84% of it was incorrect. And 12% would have been actively damaging if you were to implement for yourself. You'd end up listening to people like the Liver King and all of that nonsense that's on the platform. But that's where people are going. And it isn't because it's correct or factually useful, it's because it's engaging. So we need to understand that when we're trying to engage people in that small window of opportunity that we got to speak to people about something different. This is the challenge. And when we think about well-being, historically we thought depression, anxiety, we start to think about neurodiversity, but then that includes eating disorders, debt advice, body dysmorphic disorder, everything that all comes into it. If I asked you to define well-being, would anyone be able to do it? It's difficult. There's lots of definitions of it. We have the very structured pillars, but the definition of it is one's subjective satisfaction with their life, which incorporates so much and wherever you are at the moment, and that changes consistently. So when we understand that and all the drivers and the things in the workplace that are making the difference, we've got to serve managers with the content and the support that they need when they have it, when they need it to have the conversation, understanding the workload and how people are operating. Oh, and just give them 5 minutes themselves as well if you really want to help a manager. They're just individuals trying to go through stuff. You're not as bad as I said earlier. I actually quite like you all personally. It's just what your team's told me, all right? If you were to auto-schedule all your meetings to finish 5-10 minutes early, which I would love for you all to do today, if you haven't, please do. It will help you and your teams. You'll save 4.8 work weeks worth of effort this year. Then we can focus on the little things that matter, because that's all there ever is in the workplace. So it's always about the little marginal gains. If you shake your leg like this for 8 hours, you'll burn 300 calories. That's half decent if you're stuck at your desk all day, isn't it? You don't know how many calories in a McDonald's cheeseburger? 290. Now we're talking, all right? So I do this all day. I can go smash a cheeseburger on the way home, and I've got 10 spare. I've got like a fifth of an apple or something. But we've got to think about the workplace in the same context, reducing the friction in tiny pieces. It's not an organization's responsibility to improve your happiness. Sorry. But it is their responsibility not to worsen it. And when we flip that switch, we look at creating the environment, the space, the autonomy for people to do what they need when they need it. Which is why we need to think how we engage people differently with the content that they want to see that's validated. We developed this and we launched JAAQ with NatWest. And it's essentially a platform where you can type in, ask a question, a whole range of topics, celebrities, lived experience. We're working with Formula One stars now, footballers, rugby players to normalize the conversation. We launched this in 23. We focused then on giving the managers the skills integrating into L&D pathways. We then analysed all the data on the back end and we found that burnout was the top topic running away for the business, being asked. So we customised learning modules on the topics that were being asked the most, taking a data-led approach to well-being, which then, over the time of using it, they've seen a significant reduction in mental health absence. That's the impact we want to see. I was talking to Geffen earlier, he said, does it matter how many times the platform is used? Not necessarily. That's what matters. That's why business will invest in this thing. That's what we're all looking for. That saving equated roughly, I did some back of a cigarette packet maths, it's about £750,000. Now you can go and speak to the exec. This is a priority. This is something we need to lean into, but the measurement has to be done first. They do an amazing job of all that measurement. We've been able to prove the value of focusing on these little moments. Across all of the platforms, we found that initially anxiety was the top topic, and we essentially just keep looking at it all the time. And then addiction's now top. So now we're filling in the gaps with digital addiction, sex, gambling, and every other type of addiction you can imagine. Meeting people with that content from people that look like them and to give them the right information in the right format at the click of a button. Across platforms now, we've answered about 1 million questions, and we're starting to see this impact across organizations as well. The real value, is that my time or someone has lunch for someone? 12 o'clock alarm. I love it. That's when I normally eat as well, actually. I'm quite regimented like that. And that's Jen Tippin. She's the Chief People Officer. So we have to normalize the conversations, develop these evergreen assets, meet people where they are in their journey, and integrate into that. So it has to be integrated into L&D, into marketing, into IT. For me, the future of well-being, the biggest part of it for most organizations will be the IT function. Because how annoying is your day when the meetings don't work? It's the biggest impact that can go wrong, right? Where do you spend most of your days? On your laptop. I assume people in this room, others don't. But that changes. So we need to think differently about how we're engaging people. TikTok style, engaging content that people will consume outside of work and elect to go into, but validated clinically. And it's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun trying to do this, but adding content all the time, working with people We intend to keep knocking up the questions, meeting people exactly where they are. That was a whistle-stop tour through challenges, managers, the issue, potentially how we can change things. I hope that was helpful. Now, I told you I was going to leave 5 minutes for questions, and I have. Yes, first one of the day, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no, not yet. I've got one more. I got carried away, but come join me anyway.
I'm going to stand here.
No, you're right. Yeah, you stay there. Yeah, we'll do it together. Not quite. 4 minutes for questions. So if you go back to your organizations, I'd like you to ask these 3 questions to start thinking in this fashion. Do you know how you engage your employees with content? Is it something that you would consume or you would like to consume outside of work? This can be applied to everything we're doing. Beyond surveys, how do you measure the effectiveness of your well-being efforts or the things you're doing inside the organization? Because this will prove the value of the amazing work that you're doing to the exec, which will then give you the scope to go and do more, to lean into the things that are having the biggest challenges. And lastly, do your managers know where they can access team information immediately for their team? Is the pathway quick? Or is it 17 clicks down a rabbit hole that they're going to have to jump back into the meeting for and kick that can down the road? If you ask these 3 questions and start thinking differently, hopefully we can engage people quicker, sooner, with the right information, supporting them on their journey to prioritize what they need to be their best selves. And you can manage nightmare team members just like me. I hope that was helpful, and I welcome challenge, questions, thoughts as well. Thank you. That was, now we're done. There we go.
So, we've got time for a couple of questions, although I don't seem to have it. Oh, yeah, I do have one on Slido.
That's great.
Yeah, so how do we equip managers with the knowledge to manage the well-being of their staff without making them think they have to be experts in everything?
That's the challenge. I was saying that plethora of things, there is just no way that a manager who's delivering on work commitments can understand. So it's about enabling them to understand what they can support with and then when they pathway people. As I said, it's not an organization's responsibility to improve happiness. But if they focus on the culture, how their team feels, giving them the space to talk about what they need, giving them support they need to develop themselves, and then saying, when you need the help, the solutions are over here, and making it as easy and quick for people to get to them as they need. Because you can take the horse to the well-being water, but you can't make them drink. But what the manager can do is create the space, share their story, tell people where they can access the support, and create the environment where people can prioritize themselves. And when they become accountable for their own journey, we can support them through it. We see amazing things. But when we try and diagnose and support and lean in as counselors, they are not that. It's their responsibility to create the environment where people can then take their own journey. So what they could do is just move them to that as quick as possible in a supportive and empathetic fashion. And if they know where things are and they create that environment, then we support that individual. And then that's when other teams get involved as well. But not easy for managers at all. So that's why we give them the right information and help them know where it is like that. Because if it isn't available almost instantaneously, we're on to the next thing.
Sorry, there was another, but it's disappeared off my screen, so I can't ask it. I'm so sorry. Oh, there we are.
Oh, there you go.
So lots of people disengage the moment you say the word well-being.
Oh, I agree.
How do you think we can reframe this so that they think it's for them?
Yeah, because they think it's just this fluffy yoga, bikes, bananas and cake, don't they? But when we speak to the exec, we speak in a language they want to speak. We talk about return on investment, the business case of well-being, the current costs in the organization. When we speak about managers, we say how we help them develop high-performing teams and you'll hit your KPIs. With regards to individuals, we speak in the language and the fashion that they want. The reason why JAAQ has really picked up so fast, JAAQ stands for Just Ask a Question, by the way, in case you didn't know. I always motor over that without saying. We're working with Formula One teams, athletes, Olympians, Adidas, getting people that people respect, that are highly respected in their industries, that have been through something. When we normalize that conversation, we make it cool, then people want to engage. And it's not this soft, fluffy benefit. It's not something that just happens once we're over here and someone brave shares their story. It's every moment of every day. And when we create the spaces for people just to say how they are, I'm a bit up, I'm a bit down. Like I was saying, I'm always anxious before going on stage. I have to go to the toilet 2 minutes before stepping on stage, otherwise I feel I'm going to wet myself. I just know how to manage that now, but then by sharing that, hopefully others will feel the same, feel like they can do the same before they go on the stage. But it's so normal. And by using a platform like JAAQ or others, there's so many amazing people in here. We normalize those conversations, and we have to make it engaging with people they respect and share the stories. Being data-led, and we'll see a huge, huge change. It is coming on.
Okay, we are at time, but I do want to ask this question.
Well, we've got 13.
I'm going to get a telling off.
Go.
So can you just talk us through how managers have helped support you
Yep.
with some of your issues. The question asked particularly about ADHD, but
Yeah, for sure. It's more how I manage people now because I look after teams. My team's like, we love working with you, but boy, is it hard work. I'm like, yeah, nice one. So now I've been coached into using better methods to track everything I'm doing. So I jump around like a blue bottle fly, and I don't mind doing that, but others hate it. So these are the projects I've got. I update that weekly. They know how they can support me, and I'm explicit on what I need. And when I feel like things are getting a bit much, I communicate that. The best managers I've had that support me just create the space to own it. But this is me, this is what I need. Sometimes we've got to get the work done and we just focus on those things, but then they're just supportive the whole way through. This is what you need, this is how we can support you. And just by creating a space for you to share that with people, it doesn't feel like a thing that's big to talk about. Over the years though, I first spoke about anxiety, then about depression, then about bulimia. People will own their journey like slowly, and as you create the space and share how you're going through, and we share the leaders in the business, you watch, people will share one piece at a time. One last thing, I promise, I'll bugger off. So have you heard the art of kintsugi? Anyone? Japanese art of pottery making. Back in the 16th century, the shogun was having some tea. Someone dropped his favorite teapot. That is a destiny. You're getting your head chopped off with a samurai sword in the 16th century in Japan. He said, let me put it back together. And he put it back together with staples. He said, that's so ugly, you're dead. He'll give me one more chance. And he put it back together with gold glue. So now where it's formerly broken, it's more beautiful and strong as a result. I'm hella sparkly at this point, I'm bloody strong, right? But when we start to normalize these things in the conversations in teams, people will embrace their own journey. Then it just becomes so normal to say, this is where I'm at, this is what I need. But it's almost bringing it into the day in these little micro moments instead of one webinar once in a blue moon. Then we'll make the change together.
brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks.